Lord have mercy. Trump and the crazy clown cabinet. The hits just keep on coming. Only these are not the kind of hits that we see in Motown. We'll discuss that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Trump Trash Green, is talking about exposing because all the boys come to the yard for her milkshake. Ugh. We'll discuss that. Trump trying to get all unconstitutional with recess appointments. We've got to break that down. And we also got to talk about how you, my listening audience, can make money from the Trump stock bump. All that and much more is coming right now. Lamont Tyson Life Games YouTube channel. We getting cooked off right now.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that full. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You are in the building with the all-knowing, all-loving, all-feeling, all-seeing, all-powerful, just damn all everything, sexy as hell host. But of course, I'm not alone. You know who got to come in here. I got a legend. This man know history the way Nell Carter knew a Twinkie. And my young folks ain't even going to know who Nell Carter is, but it's okay. Let me bring in the brother, Larry, the living legend. What's going on, my brother?
How you doing, man? Like Nell Carter to a Twinkie.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. Some of these youngins don't know who she is, though.
Legendary actress, ladies and gentlemen. Legendary actress in her day. Lord have mercy. Lord, Larry, just Lord have boy. The man ain't even in office yet, Larry, and he's creating all this damn chaos. Before we get there, ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure that you all guys know, please go and support Larry on his channel. His link is in the video description. He's still putting out great tech content. I've got the podcast. Me and Larry have committed. We're going to do this every Wednesday unless it's like a holiday or something, because it's very important that we inform you guys on what's going on, because there are, believe it or not, people, there are some people who really don't understand how things work, which made them more susceptible to voting for Trump. You know, Trump is the ultimate fake it till you make it person. And if anyone knows me, you know I hate fake it till you make it people. And they are able to fake it till they make it because they prey on your lack of understanding of how things really work. And so we're going to make you guys eat your vegetables. I know my subscribers are going to take a dip. I know some people ain't going to come watch this, but you know what? There are going to be some who will. There are going to be some Trumpers. They're going to come here and get educated. And next election, they ain't going to be voting for no more of that banana in the tailpipe. So go and subscribe. And if
I'm not sure about that one, man.
It's going to be some, Larry. There was some.
I think they'll come, but I'm not sure they're going to be educated. Or I should say they may come. They may even be educated, but I'm not sure it's going to change their vote, because I truly believe the people that voted for Trump this time, they knew that there was a banana in the tailpipe. They knew what they were getting with smoke and mirrors. They knew what Trump was nothing more than just bluster and self-preservation to keep himself out of jail. They knew all this, but the idea of what he was selling was so enticing to them that they were willing to go ahead and vote for the idea, even though they know it's never going to come to fruition because he can't deliver. He can't deliver, and I don't think any politician on this planet could deliver all the stuff that he was saying he was going to be able to do. Just like he said last time, he was going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. There's no damn wall. And Mexico, in fact, not only did Mexico not pay for it, we're shipping Mexico billions of dollars every month in order to keep the illegal immigrants that should be in our country filing for asylum in Mexico. So not only did we not build a wall and Mexico didn't pay for it, but instead we're paying Mexico. So there you go. They knew what they were getting. Sorry, didn't mean to go off all early, but they knew they were getting the banana in the tailpipe. They wanted the damn banana, and now we're getting it.
That's the problem, Larry. Some people, there are the majority of people that voted for Trump that are in the dark. because when you talk about the swath of people that voted for Trump, there is a wide swath. So, Larry, you do have some people that fully understand what Trump is, but voted for him strictly because they want to get richer. And I'm talking about that 1% class, the Elon Musk folks. They fully know Trump is a useful idiot. He's the entertainment arm of them trying to capture power and control it. And the dummies below that income level allowed this stuff to happen because they love racism. They love misogyny. They love all that mess more than they want to take care of their own damn self. They love it.
See,
they want to lock people up.
And I hate to say this, but people like Elon Musk need, and how do I say this without sounding terrible? Fuck it, I'm just gonna say it the way it is. People like him need not exist. That's just what it is. He is, when you are the richest man in the world, you can buy and sell anything in this world. If he wants a company, he can go and buy said company. If he wants a car, a house, a chateau, a rare book, a painting, anything, he can acquire it. And instead, what he decides he wants to do with his money is be evil. People like him need not exist on this planet. If you have the ability to do anything and what you choose to do is not for the good of society, not even just for any good, just to be an evil dick, you don't need to exist. If I was Tesla's board, I would kick his ass off that board. If I was X's board, I would kick his ass off that board. I would let him feel what it feels like to have the people not want you. I mean, he's a horrible human being at this point. I don't care what people say. They try and act like he's some fucking brilliant innovationist. He's not. He didn't create Tesla. He is not a founder of Tesla. Tesla was founded by two people. He came in, invested, kicked them out, sued, and got his name as what on the list as one of the founders, even though he's not one of the founders. Look at SpaceX and all the other shit. It is a team of thousands of brilliant engineers who were sending those rockets up into space and having them land back down there.
Right.
Elon Musk, with his oversized belt buckles and his South African accent, is not doing jack shit. That's what it is. Elon Musk, if he was black, everybody would be talking shit about him because he's ridiculous and has like 10 baby mamas. That's what it is. But he's a rich white dude, so he gets a pass. He's not some brilliant innovator. He's just somebody that says, I believe this can happen, and I want you to work 80 hours a week for the price of 40 hours a week. And if you don't like it, I'm going to call you all kinds of names, and then I'm going to fire you. And when you sue, I'm going to drag your ass through court so long that you can't afford to keep going. That's what he does.
And maybe that was the appeal for Trump, because that's all Trump does. Trump tries to tie you up in litigation to run out the clock. And unfortunately, he's ran out the clock. And we'll come back to Elon Musk, because I got a lot to say about him too. Now, the one thing he did do, so that we're completely transparent, he did co-found PayPal, which gave him a little bit of the bump to invest in Tesla, and everything else Larry said is true.
And then he was so bad, he got fired from the company that he co-founded because he was so terrible.
And before that, the way he was able to even get that bump is he had some $5 million some odd dollars from his family to get that head start, which, you know, most of us minorities, we never going to let go that we didn't get our reparations. And we built this damn country. And now y'all are about to let Trump. As a matter of fact, and we'll get to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do.
And just for all of you out there riding Elon's nuts, Elon got like $2 billion in U.S. government taxpayer subsidies so that he can build out his infrastructure for his electric cars and the charging network that's out there. That came from your pocket. So everybody's out there thinking like, oh, he's such a business, brilliant businessman. I can tell you right fucking now, if the U.S. government gave me $2 billion, I could take that and I can make $100 billion out of it. I can make an extraordinary amount of money if someone handed me $2 million for free and say, do what you want with it. Don't think that I could not flip that money God knows how many times. And that's what happened with them. And then they gave them even more when they said, we're going to make sure every electric car gets a $7,500 tax break in there so that people can afford to buy them. Because if they did not, people could not afford to buy Teslas because they're not cheap. And on top of all of that, they are blocking much better, much more efficient, better looking, performing cars out of China because they're like, it'll ruin the American electric car. What American car industry? There is Tesla and Rivian and Lucid. No one can afford Lucids because they start at $80,000. No one can really afford Rivians because they start at $75,000. And the other auto manufacturers that make them are scaling back, and their charging infrastructure is for ass. So the only real EV manufacturer in this country is Tesla, and the U.S. government, again, is going to bat protecting them, because if not, the Chinese EV would come in here. The Chinese EV car companies would come in here, and they have cars that start at like $14,000 that get 450 miles on a single charge. They have cars that come that they can use that can hot swap batteries. I mean, they are doing incredible things with EVs, and we are protecting this little freaking South African racist, misogynist, freaking baby daddy asshole, because we don't care about the American people. We'd rather protect some billionaire than provide with the American people with better automotive options. Now, I understand some people are going to be like, yeah, it's Chinese. I don't want a Chinese car. Guess what? They said the same thing about Japanese cars. And I bet a ton of you out there are sitting around driving Camrys and driving Nissans and driving Hondas and Lexuses and Acuras and all the other crap out there. They said the same crap about Japanese cars in the 70s, and now people don't think twice about buying them.
Now, Larry hit on a point that I was going to make. He just didn't go as in depth as I'm going to go into it. But yes, I don't understand. This is one of the reasons why it's hard for me to reason with most Republicans, because they project their deepest insights that they do onto other people, and then they're hypocrites. Speaking of what Larry just said, Trump is going to have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy come in and try to slash the government budget when these MFers is making so much money from the government that they claim they hate. How much sense did that make?
Yeah.
Elon Musk has had case after case after case with safety issues with his cars. Now he's going to get rid of all that. All of it's gone. But the government made you rich, and now you want to tell other people there's going to be some pain.
How about there should be class action suits against Tesla from Tesla owners from all the promises that he's made that have been broken, like the fact that they promised all the self-driving vehicles. There were promises, even so much that they showed apps where the cars were going to be a totally self-driving and autonomous. He said back in, what was it, 2017, 2018, if you buy a Tesla today, by the year 2022, your car will be able to make you money, because you'll be able to, with just an app, put your car up on Uber or Lyft or some other some other rideshare thing, and it will be able to pick people up and drop them off and basically be a self-driving Uber while you're at work doing your thing. And it's 2025 damn near, and we know that is not anywhere near being close. They don't even have self-driving. You can't even be in the passenger seat with self-driving on. You can't even have self-driving on and look away, because the damn thing will start beeping at you and tell you to pay attention. I mean, let's just be real. He has made nothing but a bunch of empty promises. People have bought those vehicles on those promises, and the government's protecting his ass, because really what should be happening is there should be government oversight on his company. There should be massive class action lawsuits suing the hell out of Tesla, because people are not getting what they promised.
Exactly. Now, shout out to Moochie, who had a surgery, and God bless her little heart. She's back home now. She's resting. So shout out to the Mooch. We're wishing you well. And in case you forgot, ladies and gentlemen, this video is sponsored by none other than me. Take a look at this, and then we'll jump into the next story, which is the latest addition to the Trump clown show, his cabinet appointments for person that's going to run Medicaid and Medicare, which I'm kind of okay with that one, but the one for Secretary of Education, God help us. But anyway, check this out first. For years, the GOP and others have been coming for academic books in elementary through high school and college that take away the real history of this country. That history includes the benefits blacks gave to this country. And blacks have had to be superheroes. If you want to support a film studio that is committed to telling those stories and also telling superhero stories of blacks, helping to save the world and the universe, please go support Life Gains Film Studio. Link is in description. And if you want to get an executive summary of what we're trying to do, all you got to do is shoot me an email. Make a donation without delay.
What we're starting to see with these selections, right? You got Gates, no experience whatsoever, ill-equipped managerially to run a massive, massive bureaucracy. You had Dr. Oz yesterday, a guy who really actually supported Medicare for all before Kamala supported Medicare for all, but also ill-equipped to run a massive bureaucracy.
Your children's high school and grammar school education being run by someone who's more familiar with wrestling, with professional wrestling, than it is with actually what goes on in the classroom. People are concerned about what's being taught in the classrooms now.
Yeah.
That has occurred over the last couple of 2 or 3 years. You know, what are 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders being taught in their elementary schools? What's the curriculum?
Right.
What's the high school curriculums? And look who is the Secretary of Education. At the edge of the intelligence community, do you hear the same thing that a lot of other people are hearing? That the British, the French, the Israelis are coming in with hints that, you know, we're not going to share intelligence, our intelligence, with Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes, current and former intelligence officers have expressed that fear and have heard that from their colleagues overseas, saying there's going to be real reluctance to share some of those nations' top secrets and intel with the United States. First of all, there were already some concerns about Trump, who we know has revealed intel in inappropriate settings, including to Sergei Lavrov in the Oval Office. But Tulsi Gabbard in particular, someone who has voiced talking points that emanated from Moscow, has cozied up with Syrians, that there's real concern here that the nation will be less safe because allies aren't going to trust us with their intel.
Well, Larry, I guess people needed to hear it from a white guy before they believe me. But didn't last week I just explain to you why Tulsi Gabbard was a horrible choice for the job Trump was trying to put her in? And I read some comments, people telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. Tulsi's great. No, the fuck she's not. Did y'all not hear what that man said? Our allies are not going to tell us anything. Now, for you idiots that think America's is so big, we can't fail, I got news for you. Every great society has failed from within. There's not been a one that's failed from without. It started within. Could we be looking at that right now? This week, we done had Putin escalating stuff because Biden said, you know what? I want y'all to defend yourselves against Russia. Ukraine, defend yourself. And so now Putin is saber rattling with his nuclear weapons. If our allies are afraid to tell us, and Tulsi Gabbard in particular, because they can't trust her ass, she's a spy, she's categorically has the look of a black widow, cute, military trained, can dip in, dip out, and get close into the hearts of some men and some women too, that they don't want to tell her anything. That is not good for national security. And the way some of you Trumpanites eat up this stuff like it's WWE and are not really and truly informed, it would be very easy for some one of our enemies to come here, do something to us, and then Trump blame it on Black Lives Matters. He blame it on Antifa. Hell, he'll tell Sean Hannity to say maybe your black grandma did it. You can't push her through the airport no more in a wheelchair. So, Larry, before we address the cabinet picks, how are you feeling about what our allies are saying about having Trump in the White House and Tulsi Gabbard as the person that's going to be a liaison covering the spies? Tulsi Gabbard.
It's utterly ridiculous. I mean, people. The
ridiculous.
memories of people are so short. People forget that Tulsi Gabbard ran for president as a Democrat
and got less votes than Kamala Harris.
She did. But this is the thing. When you decide to throw your hat in the ring and run for president, you know what happens? Is that you show up on the radar of every single major news organization in this country. And what happens is people start to dig. And when they dig, they find stuff. And what they found on her was horrific and scary. And they found all kinds of connections that were there, but the general public just didn't know about them. And when they found out about them, they said, oh, hell to the no.
Nope.
And what happened? She basically got ran up out of the Democratic Party. They said, this is not what we are about. And so what did she do? She went to where where those people are about. You're for Russia. You're down for getting paid from Putin and the Russian cronies. You're down for getting paid thousands of dollars to take these trips and go and spew propaganda on RT when it was there. You're down for all that. Guess where you belong? Right where she is now with Trump. And I would just say the Republican Party, but I don't even know if you can call them Republicans anymore. They're Trump. They should just change the name from the Republican Party to the MAGA Party. But
they're just MAGA.
But at the same time, all the Republicans are just falling in line. So I guess they are what they are. But Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, come on now. Let's just be. And it's really just kind of a shame to see someone who is a military veteran who has served this country in some ways just become a stooge,
a puppet
for one of our longest standing enemies, and basically being rewarded for it. It's hard. And I know some people out there, and there's some people in the comments. I see them. I'm not going to call any names out on folks, but I don't think people are scared. I think people are offended. People know what's going to happen. So it's not a matter of they're afraid what's going to happen. It's like, if you're a kid and you get all D's on your report card and you have to go home, you're not afraid that you're going to get an ass whooping. You know you're going to get an ass whooping. You just don't want to go home. You don't want to see it happen. You don't want to see what you know is going to happen. And that's how people feel about Tulsi Gabbard and the rest of these clowns. We know what's going to happen. We just don't want to see it happen. I think it's utterly ridiculous. You name someone like Matt Gaetz, who has an entire investigation on him because the dude is a sexual predator
and a pedophile.
A pedophile
that paid for it. A pedophile.
Yes, human
comical.
Trafficking.
Pedophile.
A human trafficking sexual predator pedophile. And people think we're not afraid of him. We are offended by him. I mean, there are so many other qualified individuals out there that can assume that role. There are qualified conservative Republicans out there that could assume that role. And you have a sexual person who was convicted in civil court of sexual assault, appointing another sexual predator to the highest law enforcement position in this country. It is absolutely insane. It makes us look like complete buffoons to the rest of the world. And it can't even say that we can't even make the argument to people before that, oh, we're still the greatest nation, this, that. We can't make that argument anymore because all we can do at this point is just hang our heads in shame and say, you're right. We're going to try and fix it in 4 years. You're right. Because when people come and criticize us about the shenanigans and the bullshittery that we see, guess what? They're right.
Now, Larry,
Americans don't care. They don't care about their own personal interests. They're more, people are more willing to let billionaires have tax breaks and so that they can say, I'm still the greatest. Look at us. And they can pound their chest. And the young men that they say were out there voting can pound their chest and say, look at me, I'm pro man. you're so worried about a chick with a dick at the urinal next to you, or somebody, there's some dude, that some trans woman or man or whatever that's going to roll up with a prosthetic in the urinal next to you, that you are willing to go vote for someone who's going to ship your jobs overseas. They're going to get rid of education, the Department of Education, so that your kids won't be able to get financial aid and Pell Grants. They're not going to have all the stuff that they need that the federal government currently administers. All that stuff is going to go by the wayside, or it's going to be so shittily managed that it might as well be non-existent.
And that's what they want. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, Trump and the Republicans have been trying to dumbify y'all down and have y'all just believe in God for years. And Trump is the manifestation of what they've been wanting. Almost too much of the manifestation, because they can't even hardly control him. He's doing stupid stuff, but what he has done is he's revealed that if you can get enough people who aren't educated, or people who for some reason still think WWE wrestling is real, you can commingle that with politics. And then you got enough people who are upset and feel like all the levers of the way America is supposed to work for white guys is starting to go backwards because all these other people getting education. And then you couple that with a whole lot of racists, because all the racists vote for the Republicans. Ain't no racists voting for no far lefty. I can tell you that right now. And this is what you get. And to Larry's point about education, this woman who was about to get divorced from that husband because, Larry, guess what this husband was involved in? A whole lot of sexual misconduct, sexual rapes, allegations, all this. He paid off women. She is about to be running education, Larry. And let's talk about her failures in the first Trump administration. Linda McMahon served as the administrator of small business under Trump from February 2017 to 2019. Didn't even finish her damn term. Here are the issues with her. Her handling of the disaster relief. The SBA's response to the natural disasters, particularly hurricanes, was criticized for being slow and inefficient. Many small business owners reported delays in receiving assistance, which hindered their recovery efforts. And y'all dumbasses voted for this all over again. But we'll keep going. Loan program management. I can't make this stuff up, Larry. This is not TV. This is not TV. The administration of SBA loan programs faced scrutiny due to allegations of mismanagement and favoritism. You think? Some small business claimed they were unfairly denied loans and faced excessive bureaucratic hurdles. Let me pull this down real quick, Larry. White folks that went through that right there, this is what black people been going through our whole damn lives. You feel me? And y'all just voted for this.
Let them feel it. Let them feel that shit on the full force of their chin, because we know how to handle it. We've been dealing with it our entire lives. We know how to handle it and navigate through the system and still survive. They don't.
And that's the problem. The problem is when they start feeling this kind of pain, they either want to commit suicide or make other people hurt instead of going to what the real solution is, which is why we stuck with Trump again. Let me finish reading this. Advocacy for small business. Critics argue that McMahon's policies favored larger enterprises over genuine small business. Okay. Resignation and subsequent role. In March 2019, McMahon announced her resignation from the SBA chair to pro-Trump super PAC America First Action. This move raised questions about the revolving door between government position and political advocacy agency, which is something that they can enforce. There's a law for that, and I don't understand why it didn't get enforced. I guess because Trump keeps stuff in court year round that you can't pursue everything, but there is a law for that. So you mean to tell me that you people that want to burn the country down, you want to replace it with this?
No, let me just ask this. I don't know anything about this woman, so I want to know what makes her qualified to do anything besides being the wife of a man who made billions of dollars on the backs of other men. What qualifies her to do anything? Is she uniquely qualified? Has she done something? Like, we know, like, I don't like Vince McMahon. I think he's a piece of garbage, but the man has shown that he knows how to run a business, even if the way he runs it is horrible. And the people that have worked for him basically hate his guts now. But he made lots and lots of money in this country. And let's just be honest, you cannot make billions of dollars in America and be a good guy at the same time.
No, not
You're
billion.
just not gonna do that. You're going to have the pathway to that place where you're at is going to be layered with bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. And he is no different. When you look at all the wrestlers who have CTE problems, have died, suicide, all that stuff, when they had no health care, he kept these people as independent contractors, all this stuff. He's horrible. His WWE, WWF, all the other crap, horrible. Anyways, I want to know what makes her uniquely qualified to do any of these jobs besides the fact that she's rich through marriage.
She's rich and she's white and she's been loyal to Trump. Remember, Trump is a loyalty expert. She's loyal to Trump. But furthermore, Larry, there is nothing about her that makes her qualified to run the U.S. education system. Her whole life is built on lying that wrestling is real. And if your dumb ass is one of these people that look like the special needs kids that show up to wrestling, really believing the shit is real, you thought the same thing about Trump. When your kids show up to the home and they ask you what they do all day and they say we was in recess all day, that's your fault. Don't try to pin it on us. That's going to be your fault. And really what they want to do is get rid of the Department of Education so they can start trying to privately fund schools, which ruins people who are in poverty communities, lower income communities, and communities of color. That's what they want to do. They're trying to dismantle it. Now let me get to the next guy. This guy right here, who, Larry, he's going to run Medicare, Medicaid, and I ain't too sour on him, but what I do have to say about him is this. Oprah, can you be more aware of the white dudes you putting on? Because you ain't doing too hot, sis. Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, and look at they crazy asses now. Let's look at Dr. Oz's failures en route to his Medicare run. So this is what was notable about Dr. Oz, Larry. Critics questioned Oz ties to Pennsylvania, highlighted his long-term residency in New Jersey. This raised concerns about his connections to the state voters and their issues. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, he ran to be a senator in Pennsylvania against John Fetterman. Fetterman destroyed him. It wasn't even close. And he's been loyal to Trump. He's got his Crodeau video. In a campaign video, Oz referred to vegetable platters as crudels while shopping at the grocery store.
Yeah.
He missed he called it Wagner's instead of Wegmans and Ratner's. God, I can't make this. Larry, I can't. God. It would be, Larry, it would be funny if this was TV, but it's not. Oh my God, Lord. These are people that are going to be. God, Larry, just take the floor, man. I can't do it no more. Take the floor. Golly.
This is what I understand. We have very, very qualified people in this country. Qualified people that would still, by all measures, would be considered conservative and Republican. And it really feels like Trump is simply trolling the nation by just picking people who clearly should not be in charge of anything other than maybe his own TV career, you know? I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, that's like me saying, like, hey, you know what? You have a YouTube channel, so we're gonna go ahead and put you in charge of the FCC. Like what?
Weigh my job,
What?
baby.
I mean,
weigh my job.
Don't get me wrong.
job.
I'm gonna take the job, but I'm gonna be like, what in the hell are you doing? Are you crazy?
Get ready for Lamont and Larry TV, and nobody, you won't see nothing else. We're gonna be on prime time every single night. You will see nothing else until you see us. Damn it! No, I'm just kidding, y'all.
I can tell you right now. You put me in charge of the FCC, the outgoing person. I'm gonna be like, you're going to stay. My first act is to make sure you are my second in command because I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. It shouldn't be here. And that's what Trump is doing. He's hiring people who should not be there. You know? Man. I mean, ridiculous. There are people out there that are qualified.
Now, Larry, I will say this about Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Let me just say this. This is how bad Trump even knows that his appointments are a bunch of trash heap garbage people for these jobs. That's why he's gone to the Senate and said, I need you people. I need you to all agree to recess appointments because there's no way in Sam Hill we're going to get these people through otherwise. There's no
Larry, hold that point because that's the next issue. We're going to get to that in a minute. I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, so we can get to the recess appointment for Larry. Dr. Oz, of all some of these crazy pixies, Dr. Oz is not the worst. And I'll say this because I still have a medical degree. I don't know why folks forget I am a respiratory therapist. And I can recall Dr. Oz is a cardiothoracic surgeon, a highly qualified one. Has done great work. And prior to us finding out about his politics, he was all in the tank for we need to be doing more. We need to be paying for more preventative issues. And at one point in time, Dr. Oz was for Medicare for all. If we can put some preventative measures in there so that people can go to gyms, something for people that meet fresh food quotas, that type of stuff. I would say he would be good in this office if only I knew he wasn't influenced by Trump. You guys can leave it with that. But let me get to this point for Larry because this is a good one. Recess appointment. Larry was about to beat y'all down with more historical knowledge. Trump is trying to do these unconstitutional recess appointments. And if you don't want to believe us, because we know that some of you Republicans don't want to believe us, why don't you listen to other Republicans that have also worked in the Trump White House? And then y'all tell me what you think then. Shout out to all 50 of y'all that are watching us right now. Take a look at this. This is the man that was the #1 person under Mike Pence in Trump's White House saying, hell to the no, Trump. This is not a good look.
Well, thanks, Kelly. I think with all due deference to the senator, I do think that over time what's happened now is that we have more than 1,000 political appointees that require Senate confirmation. And it means that the process is really dragged out and there's no real way that the Senate gets to know all those nominees. So I think there's some sympathy for the notion of we need to expedite this process. But I think when the president goes about it this way, it's actually counterproductive to his cause, because when you're nominating somebody who's an alleged sex trafficker to be the top law enforcement officer in the land, or somebody who's praising Edward Snowden and Julian Assange for leaking national intelligence that jeopardizes the lives of Americans in the battlefield to run our intelligence agencies, it doesn't create sympathy for the Senate to want to go into recess in the first place to allow any sort of recess appointment. And as you said, if they force a court issue, I think there's several conservative judges from Thomas and Alito and Roberts who are on the record when Obama tried to recess appointments in his administration, who have shown a lot of doubt about the executive branch's ability to do that. And so I think this is part of the natural check and balances that our founders created, that the Senate requires us advise and consent.
Well, first, I agree with everything Mark said. He's absolutely right on. Second, what can you add to this? The fact is, the facts are different. The president has a Senate which is Republican and has a fairly strong or good majority of Republicans. The Democrats eliminated the filibuster to try to stop appointments, so you no longer have to deal with a filibuster. So as a very practical matter, the Senate can move very quickly here. And in fact, with the president nominating so many people so quickly, or representative he's going to nominate so many people, they can get all the FBI checks done, all the background checks done long before the president's sworn in. And I would think in the first week, with a strong Republican majority and no threat of a filibuster to slow things down, you could get almost everybody approved who's going to get approved.
Now, Larry, before I let you have first dibs at this one, let us educate the people, because there might be some people that don't understand what a recess appointment is. Let me explain it to you. Here you go. And me and Larry, we always check our sources. We don't just come up here shooting shit off our hip, lying like Republicans do, because if we did, we might be sitting in the White House right now. Here you go. Recess appointments. A recess appointment is a mechanism outlined in the U.S. Constitution that allows the president to fill vacancies in federal positions without Senate confirmation while the Senate is in recess. But here's the problem. Legal basis. The U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3, the Recess Appointments Clause states, the president shall have the power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. Key features to this: temporary nature. Appointments made during the recess last until the end of the Senate's next session, at which point the position becomes vacant until the appointee is formally confirmed by the Senate. All right. And then let me read to you why Republicans, such as the two we just saw, qualified Republicans, one just left the White House 4 years ago, are saying it's unconstitutional. This is what they're saying about Trump. He's manipulating the Senate recess. Critics argue that Trump is pressuring Senate Republicans to declare a recess specifically to allow him to make appointments. The Senate has increasingly used pro forma sessions, short symbolic meetings, to avoid officially going into recess, thereby blocking recess appointments. This tactic was upheld by Supreme Court in NLRB versus Noel Cannon 2014, which stated that the Senate has the authority to determine when it is in recess. Upholding the Constitution that you Republicans and you detractor black folks that love Trump claim to wipe y'all ass on every single night when it's convenient. And then when it's time for something that you love, the Constitution is y'all's Bible. Okay? You can't have it both ways. Floor is yours, Larry. I just gave them all the facts. Those are the facts. Those are the facts.
I think people forget that during the first Trump administration, it was just a big cluster F of temporary appointments that he was appointing people that were so utterly ridiculous, horrible, and being ill-suited for those positions that horrible. They couldn't get those appointments through. That there was just a lot of people that were temporarily in place, and there were people that were quitting or getting fired. Trump, if you guys kept remembering, he was firing people left and right. There were times where people were finding out they were high-ranking officials in the administration, finding out they were fired on Twitter. And this is, I mean, people forget how much of a cluster F the first administration was, and it's looking like it's not going to start off any better, that he's trying to circumvent Congress. This is the thing. We have a system of government that is three branches. They're all supposed to be of equal power. There's supposed to be checks and balances. The Supreme Court has basically ceded their power to the White House as far as when it comes to Trump. It is up to Congress. It is up to the House, the People's House, and the Senate to simply push back and say no, that this is a co-equal branch of government. And we are going to utilize that power to maintain balance. And it seems like the Republicans, in large part, just want to say, no, we're going to go ahead and give you all the power you want so that you are the only entity that has any real power in this country. And that's dangerous. We've seen it happen in other countries. It is dangerous. And this whole recess appointment thing, it's one thing when stuff happens and you're like, okay, I get it. It's just political and people don't like certain people, but then they get up for a vote and they get in there. You know, people didn't like Justice Kavanaugh, but he got through. People didn't like Amy Coney Barrett, but she got through. She lied. Both of them lied to the senators to their faces and said things that they totally didn't believe, but they got through. But the point is that people said, okay, we understand what the Democrats understood. Hey, we understand that when it comes our turn, there's going to be people you don't like. And we expect that the same thing, that they'll get their hearings and then they'll end up going through. That's not what's always happened, because they blocked, what's his name? Merrick Garland from him ever getting through and then him getting a vote. But that's neither here nor there now.
They didn't even bring it to a vote. Mitch McConnell didn't even bring it to a vote.
Right. That's all water under the bridge. Women, female Republicans helped vote in Trump. They had their rights taken away. All this stuff came out with abortion. They voted for Trump again. They had their rights taken away. It's what women wanted. It's what women didn't want those rights. And they said, no, please take them from us. We're not responsible with them. Please take them from us. We don't want them. And they voted for Trump to make sure that happened. So it is what it is. But
the black women didn't vote for it, though. Sisters, y'all held it down.
They did. They voted 92% or something like that for
and honestly, most of the brothers did too. 80% of us jumped on board with Kamala. 92% of the sisters did. So we held it down. But what do I always tell people, Larry? We can't win this fight by ourselves.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I will say this. Now, I don't like the direction the Republicans are going. I don't like the direction they plan on taking this country. But I do think the Democrats just had an extremely flawed plan. And a lot of what they were putting forth showed that they were very much out of sync with the American public as it stands today. And for instance, when Kamala Harris and as part of her campaign said that they were going to offer $25,000 in tax breaks for people to buy homes, that's nice. It also says that they are very much out of sync with how much housing costs in this country. Because if you have $25,000 and you're trying to buy a house today, that's not even going to cover the closing cost. Houses are expensive. The medium home cost in this country is like $400,000. That's the medium. That means that they're taking into account all of those raggedy ass budget homes outside of Detroit where people don't want to live, all these rural homes that cost $200,000 in the flyover states, as they say. If you live in a place like I do, I'm in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., you cannot buy a home out here for less than $700,000. What is $25,000 going to do for me? Nothing.
And secondly, Larry, to your point, I agree in several ways how the Democratic Party dropped the ball. And that is definitely one way. But the primary way that the Democratic Party dropped the ball, in my opinion, is that for whatever the reason, they thought that moving closer to the right was going to win them something. No.
In some instances, they did do that, but in other instances, they went too far off to the left, and they did it in such a way.
Please tell me a left. Please tell me what you consider they went too far left. Please.
I think one of the ways they went too far off to the left is with some of the culture war stuff with the LGBTQIS community. I think that they went out there and they talked so much about that. They brought so many of these people out into the forefront, and they did. And the whole time, if they turned on CNN or Fox News or anyone, MSNBC, they would have seen you have a male problem. You have a problem with men not connecting with your message, and every time you turn on a campaign, what did you see? A whole host of women. You saw the Beyoncés, you saw the Cardi B's. You look at the convention, they're on stage, all there were women, and then John Legend. That was it. It was just like they were not connecting.
Larry, you had Samuel Jackson, You had Tyler Perry, but some people don't consider Tyler Perry, but that's neither here nor there. You had Samuel L.
You
Jackson.
had a couple people that came out, but if you look at the majority of these rallies, every time you looked out there, I didn't see anything that was connecting with men. This was something my brother was saying constantly, and I was giving him grief for it, but he said constantly throughout there, he was like, where are the men? What message is out there that is going to connect with my 19-year-old son? Where's that message? What message is going to connect with me as a man? They didn't have it, and they lost the male vote. And then in turn, they lost the election. And the whole culture war thing, since when does this small minority of people, and I'll just be perfectly honest with you, this is the way I look at it. People can say I'm effed up if you want. I think the whole transgender thing with trans women is just another way for the white male patriarchy to have its way. That's what I want. That's just what I think, because I think it's utterly ridiculous to say, okay, we have scholarships to give out for tennis players, for volleyball players, for people who run track, all this stuff. And if you have a penis and you identify as a female, you're going to be able to get that scholarship. That is 100% bullshit. Because if my niece wants to run track, and she's running a 60-second quarter and they're like, or a 57-second quarter, and they're saying, hey, that's great for a 17-year-old. We want to give you a scholarship, except we can't because this other person who identifies as a woman is running a 52-second quarter as a woman. She's about to break the world record.
So, Larry, you really think that turned off so many men that they would rather vote for fascism, racism, and misogyny?
Yes. Did you look at the numbers? Did you watch stuff like Joe Rogan when he was out there? Did you listen?
Larry, if we're going to go back and forth on this, I'm going to need you to just take a breath so we can have a dialogue about this.
Now let's go.
The Joe Rogan campaign is predominantly a bunch of douchebags that still live with their mamas in the basement. They look up to Logan
but they
Paul.
were registered to vote.
They were registered to vote.
I'm not disagreeing with you about who they are or what they are, but they voted.
I agree.
I agree with you. Voted, and the Democrats did not have a message for them. That was the thing. I don't care if the douchebags vote for the Democrats, but the point is they didn't have a message for them. Not only did they not have a message for them, they didn't even have a message to combat what the Trump administration was feeding them. The only thing they offered them was, if you vote for Trump, then you are a piece of shit and you're garbage and everything else. And some people just said, well, if I'm a piece of shit, then I'm just going to own it, because guess what? My mom, my dad, my teachers, everybody for my whole life has been telling me that I'm a piece of shit. And Trump over here is saying I'm a piece of shit and it's okay to be a piece of shit. Ride with him. So they figured they're going to go over there where they're welcome. The Democrats didn't offer anything for them. They kept saying that we're going to be for everyone, but they didn't offer something for everyone.
I agree with that. And I do agree that we shouldn't have transgenders playing sports with people. But the fundamental problem I have, you all mean to tell me that in your messed up mind, that far left policy is worse than 10 far right policies. Literally.
Yeah, because it's about messaging. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying in actuality that it's worse. I'm saying with the messaging, they didn't connect. The Democrats didn't connect with people. The Republicans were able to take these things that aren't really affecting people's day-to-day lives, and they were able to go ahead and use that with their messaging to really galvanize people and get them out. If my neighbor or the person down the street or the guy across town wants to wear a dress and call himself a woman, I don't give a F. If he wants me to call him Michelle instead of Mike, I don't care. I really don't. But the thing is that when you start to tell all these guys that this is a big problem and they craft the messaging right, then you have a problem. And the Democrats didn't have anything to combat that messaging except for, if you don't support LGBTQ rights and you are deplorable, you're a bad person, you're this, you're that. They didn't have any messaging to combat that.
Well, what I think they should have done is leaned into far left policy, not just on social issues, but go ahead and lean into far left government policies. What is wrong with funding Medicare, Medicaid to the fullest extent? What is wrong with giving small business owners not a fucking tax credit? Give them $25,000 to start a business. What is wrong with helping people get $50,000 in down payment money? You know, like Larry said, 25 G's ain't nothing. What is wrong with doing that? Because all that we're doing, you are letting the rich people lean into buying politicians, cozying up with power, the billionaires. They're going to cut their taxes, which is going to make it increase on you poor peons that voted for Trump. And then on top of that, when these people want to put businesses in your community, they're going to get 10-year tax breaks. That makes no sense to me when you've got a mom and pop that's been the backbone of a community for 40, 30 years and is struggling, ain't never made six figures, when you could be incentivizing them with tax breaks. You could be putting money in their pocket. We just read how Linda McMahon, head of the SBA, was screwing small businesses and giving it to the rich people. Democrats lean into that. Many of these toothless Republicans are plumbers, independent electricians. And if you tell them how you can help their bottom line, they might smile on that and let go of some of that white boy affinity and some of that racism if they're the kind of person that ain't racist to the heart and don't have those values that they feel like they have to absolutely vote for all the bad things that you get from Trump.
But it's not just about leaning in. They should lean in, but you can't just lean in. You have to change the messaging. If you want to talk about free education, free secondary, education and higher ed, free healthcare, give people reasons to say yes to it. Tell them it's a national security issue that you have only 30% of the youth population that can pass the physical fitness exam to be in the military. That is a national security issue. Make sure that our people in this country are physically fit. So if we have to go to war, we can call for a draft and people will be able to show up and actually perform instead of going out there and finding out that as soon as you ask them to run a mile and a half, that their ankles break, their knees break, their feet break. They die from asthma attacks, they have heart attacks, all the other stuff because they're in such bad shape and haven't had any health care since the day they were born. How about if you want to talk about education?
Hold up on that point. You can't go down that road, Larry, because if you was to break down the poll of the fittest voters, you mean to tell me that you think that the rednecks and Republicans that voted for Trump are fitter than the Democrats that voted for Kamala?
No, I'm not talking about which demographic as far as the voting population is the fittest. What I'm saying is, as an overall population, in this, like, we have over half of our population is clinically obese. Over half of the population is clinically obese, and it's already been shown. It's only like 30% of the population that is within draft age could pass the test, the physical fitness test to enter the military. That is a problem. We should have a national healthcare system so our kids and people can be healthy overall.
Okay,
we should also have a physical fitness initiative so that young kids, we make sure not only do we need to bring back PE, but we need to bring back certain parts of PE so that it's not just, okay, we have PE and you take a class about what physical fitness is. No, get their little asses out there running, jumping, playing, being fit and healthy, so that in the event that we need to call them up to serve, they're already physically fit to go, that they can go. You shouldn't need to have someone who's 17 years old and goes to a recruiter and says, hey, I want to join the military. They shouldn't have to spend 3 months prior with the recruiter out on some football field running and jogging and doing calisthenics to get him in shape just so he can pass the physical fitness test. You shouldn't have to have that. These kids should already be ready to go on day one. If I can tell you right now, as a kid, if somebody said, hey, 17, you're joining the military, we're gonna place you where your physical fitness is, I probably would have been a damn Navy SEAL or something, because my physical fitness at 17 was on extra point, because I grew up in that era where we played and ran and did sports. We didn't need some extra help. And we need to get back there. But also, I had health care. I also had parents. My dad was a cop. My mom was an attorney. If I had a problem, I went to the doctor. When I wanted to play sports and I needed to have a thing signed off on, it wasn't an issue of I can't play sports because I don't have a doctor's note to say I'm okay to get my physical. I went to the doctor. They gave me a physical. They signed my paper. I played sports. A lot of kids don't have that, so they don't do it. They don't play the sports because they can't get the physical note signed, you know?
Yeah, but even, I mean, the only part of that I can completely agree with you on is the Democrats should have leaned into more things that can benefit the greater majority of people that the government can do for them. Because that's what the Republicans are doing. It's just that they trick people into thinking that if you do it for the rich people, it's going to trickle down to them somehow, some way. And they've already proven trickle-down economics don't work.
No, the Democrats need to become aggressively American. They need to wrap themselves in the American flag so effing tight that if anybody disagrees with Democratic policies, they look un-American. That's what they need to do. The Republicans have done that until Trump, and now they've wrapped themselves in a MAGA flag instead of an American flag. And this is the opportunity for Democrats to reclaim the American flag and wrap themselves so tight in it that anything other than Democratic policies come off as un-American. They should offer free higher education to every single person in this country who has at least a C average and can go to college, because it's a national security issue. If you're up there flying a drone, you're flying a drone because we're going to war with Russia or someplace, and all of a sudden Russia does an EMP or something and blocks out your radar, and now all of a sudden your drone is blind. Well, who's going to sit up there and do the calculus on the spot to figure out where they're going, the speed, the trajectory, the wind speed, all the other stuff to figure out where that drone is, how to continue to fly it blind and still reach its target? Not the kids today, because I can tell you right now that the vast majority of kids today cannot do algebra, geometry, calculus, algebra 2, trigonometry. They can't do that because most of them aren't educated. So if we make sure that education is a primary function of people in this country, it should not be that your education ends at a high school diploma. A college degree, a bachelor's degree, should be what a high school diploma is. It should be just the expectations. You're not done until you have a college degree. You want to drop out? Guess what? You have to. If you want to be a dropout, you don't get to drop out unless you have your parents' permission or something. You don't get to drop out. You're going to become a college graduate in this country, because that's what we need to keep up. Because the rest of the world is pumping out engineers and AI engineers and computer engineers and everything else. We have crumbling infrastructure because we don't have enough people in this country that can even build the damn bridges, because people don't know how to build anymore. They don't have the structural engineers to know how to design them.
That's what the Republican Party wants. That's what they want.
No, they don't want educated people. They don't, because if they have educated people, they can't control them, because educated people are not controllable the way uneducated people are. So they don't want that. But that's why I'm saying the Democrats need to make things like healthcare and education national security issues. They need to wrap those two things in the American flag, and they need to wrap that American flag around the Democratic Party so effing tight that people do not discern any difference between the Democratic Party and American patriotism. That's what they need to do.
Make education great again, ladies and gentlemen. And I agree with that. Larry, we're to my last segment. And before we get to this last segment, it's a new segment, Larry. It's a new segment called Nuts or Glut. Nuts or Guts. Is Lamont nutty, or does he have guts to stand on the videos and principles he's making in his new channel? Before we get there, We got one more promo. Take a look, and then we will get to the new segment.
For years, the GOP and others have been coming for academic books in elementary through high school and college that take away the real history of this country. That history includes the benefits blacks gave to this country. And blacks have had to be superheroes. If you want to support a film studio that is committed to telling those stories and also telling superhero stories of blacks, helping to save the world and the universe, please go support Life Gains Film Studio. Link is in description. And if you want to get an executive summary of what we're trying to do, all you got to do is shoot me an email. Make a donation without delay.
Nuts or guts, ladies and gentlemen? Does Lamont have nuts or is he full of guts? Is he nuts or is he full of guts? Where I read the comments people leave on my videos, the MAGA maggots, the MAGA lovers, in response to the videos me and Larry put up. Here's the first one, Larry. This one says, oh boy, Trump was already president for 4 years, and frankly, the world was a better place when he was in office. Where the fuck you live at? Because you damn sure don't live in America. If that's what you really think, did you not forget about COVID?
Put that back up.
That?
Oh my goodness gracious!
Did you not forget that the stuff we're going through right now with these cabinet picks? We was going through this shit every single day for 3 years. Did you not forget how he hit people with rubber bullets just so he can go across to a church and hold a Christian Bible upside down? Did you not forget about waking up to the bad tweets every day? Did you not forget about all the shit posting he would do on Twitter on the weekend so the news media couldn't cover anything? Did you forget? Where was you living at? You obviously don't live in America. So Larry, am I nuts for my opinion, or do I have a lot of guts to say the world was a horrible place while he was in office?
It was pretty awful. It was pretty awful. And I think that people have very, very short memories. And I think the thing is that people don't recognize the way economics work. And oftentimes they think Trump did a great job with our economy, because what happened was we had a president for 8 years before who worked out all the kinks of our economy and put us on a very firm footing as a nation. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump came in and within 2 years gutted our economy. And
gutted it.
When he came in, we had a pandemic playbook, because pandemics are not something that necessarily just have to happen and run amok. They can be stopped. You can stop them from being pandemics if you recognize what's happening and you put things in place to control them and stop them and slow them. But our pandemic playbook that we had in place and had worked multiple times in this country and had been lent out and worked elsewhere, was tossed out because he didn't like the fact that the Obama administration was the one that put it together. I mean, let's not for some of you who don't know this, and some of you want to talk about COVID and whatever else, just think about this. Ebola, the horrible Ebola that movies have been made about, the thing that we have seen online, the disease that has Doctors Without Borders so scared that they're like, we don't even want to send our people. That shit is so scary because it gets you, you bleed out from the inside and you basically turn to liquid and just bleed out of your asshole until you die. It's that fucking scary. Ebola came to America and the Obama administration implemented their pandemic protocols and stopped it in its damn tracks.
Boom, like that.
SARS came to this country after it had already exploded in China. It had already exploded. They had a full-blown pandemic in that country. It had come here. They implemented the pandemic protocols and stopped that shit in its tracks.
I'll give you another one, Larry. You remember H1N1 bird flu?
Stopped in its tracks.
In its tracks.
But you know what happened when COVID came? They threw the pandemic playbook out of the window, and over 1 million Americans died. Over 1 million Americans died. Think about that. 1 million people died because Trump was too prideful and didn't want to use the playbook that the Obama administration had created. And so instead of stopping that, we all ended up watching our TVs and seeing the CNN death ticker with 5,000 people dead today, another 5,000 dead tomorrow. We were locked in our houses, spraying our groceries with Lysol, and people mad about masks, people having COVID parties because they thought they were going to be able to get it and survive, and then they would die. You know, people up there with their grandparents.
Paper.
Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. Spending God knows how much money because people were up there hoarding N95 masks that should cost like 30, 40 cents a mask. People were charging folks $5, $6 a mask. All of that because Trump threw out the playbook.
Yeah. Let's read the next one.
And you want to go back to that. You want to go, because if you think there's not another pandemic just waiting around the corner, your ass is ignorant or stupid or both.
Well, Larry, it doesn't have to be a pandemic. This is what I know about Republicans. Republicans will never let a crisis go to waste, even if they have to manufacture a damn crisis. Think about the Bushes. Both of them went to war. You didn't have to, but you did. And a lot of your people got rich off them fat military contracts. Trump really had two crises. Pandemic was one of them where a lot of the rich people got rich. And unfortunately, not enough MAGA folks died. Sorry, y'all can say what you want to say about me. Moving right along. Here's another one, Larry. This one says, and this was the video I did analyzing Trump's controversial clown show cabinet picks, Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard. This person says, this channel has over 3,000 subs and you guys are getting 300 views on your vids. Just shows that you have no idea what you're even talking about. You guys are terrible. Also, him, pronouns, bruh, grow up. You're not a child anymore. Well, Larry, I would say to that, you voted for Trump. Bruh, you still think WWE is real? Because this is life we live in, motherfucker. And secondly, to that, I don't mind only having 300 some odd views because politics, number one, is polarizing. A lot of people don't want to listen to real facts. We know that. The reason why CNN and MSNBC don't have high ratings like Fox News is because they're not getting lied to and placated every single day. We don't do that here. Everything me and Larry talked about, we just cited sources. You can't say that I'm making stuff up about these comments because I'm putting it on the screen for you to see it. And if you really think that my content is that bad, bro, you can go. I guarantee you I'm going to grow. I guarantee you this is not my first time switching genres. I've done this over and over and have still been able to keep the steam up to get to 3,000 subscribers. So, bro, eat your vegetables. Stop watching WWE thinking that these dudes is really hurt. And vote for a politician that's not a fascist.
I will just say this: that person who said that is someone who clearly is not a content creator, because if he was, he would probably understand how simply having subscriber numbers does not necessarily translate into views. It's nice when it does, but it doesn't always. And part of that is the algorithm constantly changing. Sometimes it's the fact that you may get a lot of subscribers from some popular videos and then you no longer make those videos. And so those people don't continue to watch, but they don't unsubscribe. Most people don't take the time to go through their YouTube, list and unsubscribe to people they no longer watch. They just once they subscribe, they just leave them there forever. And that's just the way it is. And they don't always come back and watch. So I mean, the YouTube thing, the YouTube game is a whole different animal. And it would be great if subscriber numbers always translated into views, but it just doesn't. And the fact that he says that just says that he's not a creator and doesn't really understand the way YouTube actually works. So I discount everything that he has said from there on. He's just ignorant. He's ignorant in the purest form of the word. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. Yeah. I'm saying he's ignorant because he does not know.
He doesn't know. And he voted for Trump. What else do I need to know? Literally. I don't need to know nothing else. Last one of the day. Here we go. This one is, by the way, this was a video I did about some rich person came up with the bright idea to do a 4-year Trump cruise. And you can get away on that cruise and be gone for 4 years. Okay, if you can afford it.
That's a nice idea, but what are you going to do when 3 months in norovirus spreads through the cruise ship?
You had to dock at they're going to take you to like all these different countries. You'll be docking every single week. But anyway, Giggle Sports says, this just sad. And why should anyone support this channel? I used to be a Democrat out of Chicago 40 years. And what have changed? Voting Democrat. Heroes? Ha 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 ha. This is a joke. And I hope you wake up soon, brother. You're too prolific of a figure to fall for this madness. Well, Larry, at least he was very, very nice at the end. He's really admitting. All he did was admit, Larry, what a lot of people are thinking. If I really decide to dig my heels in the sand, exude everything of who I am and what has made me who I am, I could legitimately be a force to be reckoned with in Democratic politics. Literally, that's what he said. You're too prolific of a figure to fall for this madness. He's afraid that I could garner millions of people's attention because I have just enough nasty in me that you could say I'm a Republican, but everybody know I lean pretty left. And I think that that's what he's saying. And at the end of the day, bruh, if you're still following me, you're still going to get all that. But I'm true to who I am. I am a Democrat. I believe in democratic principles. I believe that if this government is going to tax everybody, then damn it, we should be able to maximize that taxing with the best things the government can give for everybody so that we can all make it. What say you, Larry?
I think that his comment just defeats his own argument. It's just like he's saying he used to be a Democrat 40 years, nothing's changed. Well, guess what? There's only been 2 parties in this country for the vast majority of this country. And nothing has really changed. I mean, for the last 40 years, definitely not much has changed. And when you look at it from the time that I've been born or cognizant, we had what, 4 years of Carter, and then we had 8 years of Reagan, and then we had 4 years of Bush, and then we had 8 years of Clinton, and then we had 4 years of
8 years.
8 years of Bush again.
Jr.
Yep. And then we had 8 years of Obama, and then we had 4 years of Trump, and then we're having 4 years of Biden, and we're going to go back to another 4 years of Trump. We have pretty evenly split the time between Democrats and Republicans, and not much has changed. So if you're going to try and blame something on one party or the other, it just doesn't hold water because there's not much that's changed regardless of who's been in office. I mean, things have gotten better, things have gotten worse, often more so. They get worse more than they get better. But the fact of the matter is we've had 2 parties, and you can't, as much as I would like to blame everything on the Republicans, not much has changed when the Democrats have been in office either.
But the problem with that is, Larry, if we are truly a democracy and we're going to be switching parties, we're switching senators, we're switching presidents, we're switching the House every 2 years, you're not going to get much done because you might get one major initiative done. No, let me take that back. 2 major initiatives done in a 4-year process. And the number one thing everybody's trying to get done first and foremost, is the budget. What things are we going to put in the budget to fill the coffers of our rich donors? Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to see the levers of government change, you really got to start trying to vote for people who don't accept money from donors, rich donors. And the only way we're never going to see that our lifetime, because it takes too many people to get behind too many folks who have the guts to not take money from donors. And we're not going to see that.
I want to say this. I'm not supposed to direct things to the comments, so I'm not saying any names, but I'm just going to say this, is that when you look at the Democrats and the Republicans and what's done, what's not done, the Trump administration, the first time when he first came into office, they had the White House, they had the House, and they had the Senate. They had everything that they needed to actually get legislation that they wanted passed. And the only meaningful legislation that they got passed during that period, when they had all three, House, Senate, and the White House, the only thing they got passed was a tax break for the rich. That was the only piece of major legislation they got changed. They could have done they've been talking about getting rid of Obamacare. They could have revised it, done away with it, replaced it. They didn't do that. They could have funded to build that wall that they talked about. They didn't do that. No. They have been talking about getting rid of the Department of Education. They could have done that. They didn't do that. They could have done so many different things while they had control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they didn't do anything except pass a tax break for the rich. So what do you think they're going to do this time? You think they're going to somehow all of a sudden start passing legislation that's going to help the common man? No. What they're going to do is they're going to take those tax breaks and they're going to make them permanent. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to waste whatever sort of mandate they think they have or whatever. They're going to say we're passing tax breaks for the rich, and they're going to pitch this whole trickle down theory. What's better for them up here is going to be better for you, except we know trickle down economics does not work. It doesn't work in any sort of economy. It doesn't matter if it's a capitalistic economy, communist economy, a mix, doesn't work in any type of economy.
And then on top of that, capitalism does not work without the guardrails that are supposed to be in place. And Trump is shredding up those guardrails right now as we speak. One of the guardrails that I'm talking about, we started this video on, Elon Musk. We've had the government stepping in saying that you're doing unsafe things, you're doing unsavory practices. And now that he's going to be able to say, we're shutting that down, you are therefore putting a stifle on competition. And competition is supposed to be one of the very few mechanisms that regulate capitalism.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If Chinese companies can create vehicles, electric vehicles, that are getting 400, 450, 500 miles on a single charge, are we to believe that us as Americans, the greatest nation on earth, the people that are all educated and wonderful, are we supposed to believe that we can't do the same or better? Are we to believe that we are so stupid, that we are so far behind, that the only way that we can try and keep up with the Chinese is to regulate them out of our markets?
Larry,
that's insanity. That is insanity.
Larry, we are that dumb. The main people that listen to Joe Rogan have become the least educated people by design. And let me throw some facts out there for folks that are keeping up. America is only 3% of the world's entire population. But guess what, y'all? We consume 20% of the entire world's resources. Basically, what I'm saying to you is that number cannot be sustained if the education in our population keeps dropping, because the Republican Party is trying to make y'all have pride that being dumb is okay. Not getting an education is okay. It's not, ladies and
okay.
gentlemen.
It is
It
not
is
okay.
not okay. And here's something that subscriber that we're talking about obviously don't know. You do have, let's say you have a president who has the Senate, he has the House. Well, in order for him to get the bill done that he designs and wants, you've got to have a 2/3 majority in the Senate to get it the way you want. Meaning that you've damn near got to have 59 senators and your vice president to get that legislation done, or you have to filibuster. And you only get one of them. You only get one. And they always waste it on the budget. Always. And it's going to be the same thing this time. He ain't got enough senators to get everything he wants done. He don't have 59 senators. So that's why the wheels of law, government take so long, because nobody is going to ever win this fight until we get rid of that fucking unconstitutional electoral college. We're never going to make the real kind of progress that can help everybody. We're just not. The best thing you can do is local level.
And let me
Work
just say
hard
this.
at your local level.
And let me just say this. I don't think it's been mentioned during this entire stream, but let me just mention this in case it hasn't been mentioned. I don't think it has. As consumers, we are going to pay for the tariffs. If you don't know that, just know the Chinese government, the Chinese people, the Chinese companies are not going to pay for tariffs. We are, as the American consumer, because when we want to buy a product that comes from China and all of a sudden there's a 20%, 30%, 50% tariff tacked onto it, and that product that we used to buy for $100 is now going to cost $150, because the Chinese are not going to just simply say, oh, let's just go ahead and eat it and we'll just go ahead. No, they're not going to eat shit. They're going to say, you want to slap a 20% tariff on a $100 product? Guess what? We're just going to raise the prices. That's it. You're still going to have to pay. They're still going to take their same profit. We're just going to have to pay more so they can get that profit. That's it. That's it.
And let me shout out Monique Nicole. You can go check her out. Her link is in my video description. What's up, my sister in the A? Shout out RDRD, William Brown, my fam, Motown_20, Percy Bedford. Larry's absolutely right. And I don't understand where people get off thinking that just because Trump says he's going to make China pay for the tariffs, how do you think they're going to offset that? Do any of y'all understand the two countries that hold the majority of the treasury notes of debt against the United States and constantly buy it? Is Japan and China. If they were to, on any given day, say they're going to quit buying treasury notes from us, guess what? We start collapsing. And I'm not going to even educate y'all on what happens if our budget that is unbalanced starts to collapse any worse. I'll save that for another day. Larry, go ahead, brother.
Let me just say one more thing about, and this is something I think, especially like when you look at Chinese EVs, I think the Chinese car companies, I think some car dealers here that currently have the dealerships, that I think they should start working with the Chinese and bring those Chinese EVs here. Even if a car that should cost $15,000 costs $30,000. Because this is what happened back in the day when people were trying to talk all kinds of crap about Japanese cars. And people were all upset about all these little cheap cars are so small, this and that. Well, guess what? When you had a station wagon that was getting 8 miles or 12 miles a gallon, and all of a sudden you got a little Toyota Tercel station wagon that got 40 miles a gallon, people said, I'll take that one. You know, when you had a car, when you had a Ford or a GM or a Buick or something, and your car almost like clockwork died at 100,000 miles or started giving you problems at 75. So by the time you got to 100, it had so many problems. You were just like, I'm done. I'm getting a new car. And then you see your neighbor who's driving a little Nissan Sentra, and he's had the thing for the last how many ever years and has 180,000 miles on it, and he's not doing anything but changing brakes and tires. you know, and putting the oil, getting his oil changed, you're like, damn, this car just keeps on going. It's just a good, reliable car. People start saying, I want one of those. Well, guess what? At some point, the American car manufacturers had to make changes. They had to make their cars more reliable. They had to make them more efficient, and they did. Competition is good. It's good for the consumer, and it's ultimately good for the companies that are competing with each other.
And it drops price for the consumer. And when you start letting Republicans who always love to run in front of a fucking microphone talking about, I love capitalism, no, the hell you don't. When you sitting here making companies monopolies, oligopolies, and then you're making people sign contracts, that it ain't nothing American and capitalistic about that. You're taking away somebody's ability to compete. And that is all this Trump administration is doing so far. And ladies and gentlemen,
I'll tell you, and you want to give the American government a little bit of power in going the other way towards China. Let American consumers buy Chinese vehicles. Let them come here. Let these Chinese auto manufacturers start making billions and billions and billions of dollars off the American consumer every year. And then see what happens when the Chinese government tries to flex, and these Chinese car companies are like, hell no, you're not going to mess up our market. You're not going to mess up the American auto market because we're making too much damn money off of them. You're not going to screw that up. You're not. And that's what happens. Companies eventually get to the point where they're saying, we're making too much money off this market. You don't get to screw it up because of your politics. So you guys get in a room and work that shit out like adults. Because money is ultimately what talks with people. And so I think we really should bring them here. Bring them in. I don't care if they're dead. If you want to slap 100% tariff on an EV car and it costs me twice as much, fine. Because I can tell you right now, I can't find, even if I want to spend $30,000, I can't find an EV in this country that's going to get me 480 miles on a single charge, even if I buy a car that's twice as much. If I buy a $60,000 Tesla, I'm not getting 480 miles on a single charge. It's not happening. The Chinese are spitting these cars out like they're nothing. So bring them here. Let the competition happen. It makes us as our car manufacturers better. It makes our consumers have more choices. It's going to give us more power over China when we have a marketplace that they value. It's better for everyone.
Well, Larry, I hate to break the bad news to you. It's not going to happen even if Stormy Daniels get naked and kiss Trump on his mushroom dick. It's not going to happen no time soon, brother. I'm so sorry. But ladies and gentlemen, post your comments. Let us know what you think. Again, this will be on the podcast by tomorrow. If you want to listen to us and our infinite wisdom in all its entirety, go download the podcast. Again, go make a donation to the Life Gain Studios, where we're going to be trying to film movies that highlight minorities as superheroes, because we've had to be that anyway. I'm just going to give us the powers that the white folks thought they was going to use to set us back. And Larry, what can the people look forward to on your channel as they get ready to get up out of here?
Just, more tech reviews of stuff coming. The holidays are coming up. I have a holiday gift giving guide video that I'm going to be making soon, and all the products in that video I'll be giving away. So make sure you check that out for a chance to win. And yeah, that's it. Just making some videos about tech because that's what I do.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm still doing politics. I'm starting to do a little bit more delving into the stock market, giving y'all some tips on that. I will still do some TV and some movie reviews. So don't just completely turn off your notifications. I just don't know when that's going to happen. So be on the lookout. I might be seeing me pop up with B. Avery real soon. Until that next Sex is Hell video, I'm Lamont, that's Larry, and we out.